This is what 71% of EV owners told me. I regret buying it. I've interviewed over 500 electric car owners and reviewed real-world repair logs. From dead batteries in cold weather to hidden fees no one warns you about. These problems aren't just annoying, they're deal breakers. One is so serious that it has already banned EV resales in 9 US states. These are the 17 issues every buyer needs to know. Problem number 17. Limited charging infrastructure. Public charging stations might look like they're everywhere until you actually need one. That's when the cracks show. You pull into a lot with 5 EV chargers and 3 are broken. One's in use, and the last one is behind a locked gate. This is the reality many EV owners face, especially if you live in rural areas, smaller towns, or even in some city zones that haven't caught up with EV demand. As of late 2024, the US has just over 61,000 public charging stations with approximately 204,000 ports nationwide. Sounds impressive, right? But compare that to over 160,000 gas stations, most with 6 to 12 pumps. That's millions of fueling points versus thousands of chargers, many of which are level 2 and take hours to recharge. Now imagine you're on a road trip. You're low on charge. The map shows a fast charger 20 miles away, but when you arrive, it's out of order. Or worse, it's a Tesla supercharger and you drive a Kia EV6. Compatibility issues still exist, even with the new NACS shift. So, until charging infrastructure catches up and becomes as reliable as gas stations, EV adoption will remain risky for drivers who don't have access to home charging or live outside major metro areas. If you thought finding a charger was frustrating, wait until you see what happens after you plug in. Problem number 16, long charging times. Imagine needing 45 minutes or 12 hours, or even 24 hours just to fill up. That's the EV reality. We've gotten used to 5-minute gas stops. With electric cars, that convenience disappears. Even the fastest public chargers, level 3 DC fast chargers, still take 20 to 60 minutes to bring your battery up to 80%. That's under perfect conditions, with minimal wait time and the right hardware. Most EV owners rely on level 2 home charging, which uses a 240-volt outlet. That's an overnight process, often taking 8 to 12 hours for a full charge. And if you're stuck using a standard wall outlet level 1, it could take over 24 hours just to recover a half-empty battery. That's a real issue. You don't just swing by a station and top off on the fly, not unless you've got time to burn. Worse yet, if someone's already using the only fast charger around, you're not just waiting to charge, you're waiting to start charging. If you're used to the speed of a gas pump, prepare to rethink your routine. With EVs, time isn't always on your side. And just when you think patience is your only price for owning an EV, reality hits your wallet. Problem number 15. High upfront cost. Sticker shock is real, which explains why EVs aren't cheap to buy. Most electric cars come with a premium price tag, often $10,000 to $20,000 more than a similar gas-powered model. For example, a Chevy Bolt starts around $27,000, while a comparably sized Chevy Trax starts under $22,000. And for Teslas, Rivians, or Lucids, you're easily spending $50,000 to $90,000 before add-ons. Why the big price jump? Batteries. The lithium-ion battery pack is the most expensive component in an EV, and it drives up the manufacturing cost. Yes, federal and local tax credits can help, up to $7,500 in the US. But not everyone is eligible. Income caps, vehicle price limits, and domestic content rules knock many buyers out. Then there's the cost of home charging equipment, often $500 to $2,000 for a level 2 charger, plus installation fees. That's another expense gas car owners don't face. until electric vehicles can match gas cars in upfront affordability without relying on incentives, many budget-conscious drivers will be priced out of the market. Paying extra to go electric is one thing, watching that value fade over time is another. Problem number 14, battery degradation. Over time, your EV battery won't last forever and it loses power long before it dies. Just like your phone battery weakens after a few years, EV batteries degrade too. On average, EVs lose about 2 to 3% of battery capacity per year, according to data from Recurrent and the US Department of Energy. That means after 8 years, your 300-mile range might shrink to 240 or less, sometimes worse in hot or cold climates. I've seen Teslas come in with over 100,000 miles and still perform well, but I've also worked on Nissan Leafs and older Bolts, where range loss was closer to 20% by year 6, especially when exposed to heat or frequent fast charging. Battery life depends on how you drive, how often you fast charge, and where you live. And while most EVs come with an 8-year or 100,000-mile warranty, it usually only kicks in for serious defects, not minor capacity loss. The result is a vehicle that still works but travels a lot less on a charge. That range anxiety you thought you'd left behind creeps back over time. And when that shrinking range turns into a dead battery, get ready for a jaw-dropping bill. If this insight helped you, like, share, and subscribe for more real-world EV advice. Problem number 13, expensive battery replacement. The most expensive part of an EV is the one you never want to replace. That's the battery. And if it fails outside of warranty, you're staring down a bill that can total more than $12,000 to $20,000, sometimes even more. Take the Tesla Model S or Lucid Air, for example. Battery replacement on these luxury EVs can easily cross $25,000, including labor and diagnostics. But this isn't just a high-end problem. Mainstream EVs like the Hyundai Kona Electric, Volkswagen ID.4, Ford Mustang Mach-E, and Kia EV6 also carry serious battery replacement costs. Even for compact models like the Mini Cooper SE or the BMW i3, replacing the battery can cost $10,000 or more, depending on parts availability and dealer rates. And in many cases, the battery alone may cost more than the resale value of the car. That's why some owners choose to ditch the car altogether instead of paying for a new pack. Yes, warranties cover batteries for 8 years or 100,000 miles in most cases. But once that coverage ends, you're on your own, and this is not a DIY repair. Before your battery dies, something else often hits first. Problem number 12, limited driving range. You don't realize how far 300 miles is until you drive an EV. Most electric vehicles today are rated between 200 and 300 miles of range. On paper, that sounds fine, but in the real world, those numbers shrink fast. High speeds, heavy cargo, cold weather, or even blasting the AC can knock 50 to 100 miles off your range. I've had EV owners tell me, I bought the 250-mile version, but I'm barely getting 180. And they're not wrong. It's just how the system works. EPA ratings are done under ideal test conditions, not real driving. To put it in perspective, a Toyota Camry or Honda Accord can go 500 to 600 miles on a single tank of gas. That means fewer stops, less planning, and more flexibility. Long highway trips? You'll need to plan every stop around available chargers and hope they're working. I've seen folks driving cross-country with a spreadsheet of where to stop and how long to charge. Daily commuters might get by just fine. But if you travel long distances or live in a rural area, EV range anxiety is still very real, and it's not going away anytime soon. As bad as range anxiety feels, it gets a whole lot worse when the mercury drops. Problem number 11, poor cold weather performance. When it gets cold, EVs can lose up to 30 to 40% of their range, according to the FAA and real-world data from EV owners across North America and Europe. Batteries operate best in moderate temperatures. When it's cold, chemical reactions slow down, reducing how much energy the battery can deliver. Take the Ford Mustang Mach-E, Hyundai Ioniq 5, or even the Tesla Model 3, all tested in winter conditions by outlets like Consumer Reports and Recurrent Auto. In near-freezing weather, these vehicles consistently showed reduced range and longer charging times. Even regenerative braking, a key efficiency tool, becomes limited until the battery warms up. Cabin heating is another issue. Unlike gas cars that use waste engine heat, EVs rely on electric resistance or heat pumps to warm the cabin, both of which pull directly from the battery. That drains power fast in the winter, especially on short trips where the cabin doesn't stay warm for long. Now, take that already limited winter range and add 3,000 pounds of cargo to the mix. Problem number 10, towing and payload limitations. While trucks like the Ford F-150 Lightning and Rivian R1T are rated to tow over 10,000 pounds, real-world performance tells a different story. Tests show that towing even 5,000 pounds can cut their driving range in half. That means a truck rated for 300 miles may struggle to reach 150 miles with a trailer. Why? Towing adds weight, wind resistance, and strain on the battery, all of which drain power fast. And once you stop to charge, there's another problem. Most public chargers aren't trailer-friendly. You often have to unhook the trailer just to plug in. It's not just trucks. Many electric SUVs, like the Volkswagen ID.4, Hyundai Ioniq 5, and Tesla Model Y, have modest towing ratings between 1,500 and 3,500 pounds. And adding roof racks or carrying heavy loads in the trunk also affects range and handling. If towing or hauling is a part of your lifestyle, most EVs may leave you frustrated. The power is there, but the battery drain makes long hauls difficult. Problem number 9, inconsistent real-world range. Most EVs come with an official EPA-rated range, but in real life, that number can drop fast. Speed, temperature, hills, wind, and how you drive all change how far you can go. Let's say your EV is rated for 300 miles. If you drive at 70 miles per hour on the highway, that could drop to 220 miles or less. Turn on the heat or AC, you lose more range, add cargo or climb hills, it drops again. In testing, cars like the Tesla Model Y, Kia EV6, and Polestar 2 all showed 10% to 25% less range than advertised, depending on driving conditions. Even the tire type or how full your trunk is can make a difference. That's why so many drivers talk about range anxiety. You never really know how far you'll get on a full charge. Planning road trips takes more thought, and daily commutes become stressful if you're cutting it close. The range estimates aren't lies, they're lab numbers, but real roads tell a different story. Now let's talk about something that affects every EV owner at home. Problem number 8, home charging challenges. Charging at home sounds easy until you try to set it up. Plugging in an EV overnight seems simple, but many homes aren't ready. If you don't have a garage or dedicated parking spot, home charging may not be possible at all. Apartment dwellers and renters are often left with no real options unless their building has EV infrastructure, and most don't. Even if you own a home, installing a level 2 charger isn't cheap. The charger itself costs $500 to $800. An installation can run anywhere from $500 to over $2,000, depending on your electrical panel and wiring. Some older homes may even need a full electrical upgrade. Then there's charging speed. Level 1 outlets provide regular wall plugs that can take 24 to 48 hours to fully charge your EV. That's not practical for daily driving, especially if you log a lot of miles. Add in utility rate changes, peak hour pricing, and limited space for solar solutions, and home charging becomes more of a project than most new owners expect. If you can't charge at home, you're left depending on public chargers, and we've already covered how unreliable those can be. But charging is just the beginning. What happens after 5 or 10 years of EV ownership? Problem number 7, long-term unknowns. We still don't know how most EVs will hold up over 10 or 15 years. That's because most electric cars on the road today are less than a decade old. The tech is still new. We don't have long-term data on how the motors, battery systems, software, and electronics age over time. And without that, it's hard to predict repair costs, resale value, or reliability down the line. In gas cars, we've seen what happens after 200,000 miles. We know what parts fail and when. With EVs, it's still a mystery. Batteries may degrade slowly, or they might suddenly drop in performance. Some software systems get updates, others don't, and older models may stop getting support altogether. There are also concerns about moisture damage, corrosion in battery packs, or issues with electric drive units. Some early models like the Fiat 500e and BMW i3 already show problems that weren't expected. And as EVs rely more on software, future repairs may require more than a wrench. They might need a tech team. And because no one really knows what EV repairs will cost years from now, insurance premiums reflect the risk. Problem number 6, higher insurance rates. Buying an EV can raise your insurance bill sometimes by a lot. On average, electric vehicles cost 15% to 25% more to insure than gas-powered cars, according to data from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety and companies like NerdWallet and Bankrate. Why? Several reasons. First, EVs are more expensive to repair. The parts, especially batteries, sensors, and body panels, cost more than those in traditional vehicles. Even a minor fender bender can turn into a $5,000 plus repair if it damages a battery housing or sensor. Second, many EVs are packed with tech. Driver assist features, touch screens, and advanced software. That's great for safety, but bad for your wallet when something breaks. Labor costs are higher too, because fewer shops are qualified to handle EVs properly. Lastly, because EVs are often newer and more valuable, insurance companies view them as a higher risk, especially if parts are hard to find or take weeks to ship. And even if you have a clean record, your premium may still jump just for switching to an electric model. Now let's talk about what happens when you want to sell. Problem number 5, limited used EV market. The used electric car market is still small. That means fewer choices, higher prices, and more risk. Many used EVs are either out of warranty or close to the end of it. That makes buyers nervous, especially with the high cost of battery repairs or replacements. Another issue is battery health. Two cars with the same year and mileage can have very different range left, depending on how they were charged and driven. But battery condition isn't easy to check. Most used EV listings don't show battery health clearly, and many dealers don't test it. There's also the worry of outdated software or missing updates. Some used EVs lose support over time or don't get access to newer features, which hurts their value. And because the tech moves fast, a 5-year-old EV may feel old compared to newer models. With fewer buyers and more unknowns, resale prices can drop fast or sit on the market for months. And if you do buy one, good luck finding someone qualified to fix it. Problem number 4, repair and service limitations. Not every mechanic knows how to fix an EV, And that's a big problem. Electric vehicles need different tools, training, and safety gear. Most independent shops still don't have what it takes to work on them. And even some dealership service centers are still learning. That means fewer places to go when something breaks. If your EV has a problem with the battery, power inverter, or onboard charger, you may need to take it to a certified technician or back to the dealer. That often means longer wait times, higher costs, and fewer options, especially if you live outside a major city. Even basic parts can be hard to find. Some EV components are brand-specific or locked behind manufacturer systems. That limits repairs to official service centers only, which slows things down and drives prices up. There's also a shortage of EV-trained technicians across the industry. As more electric cars hit the road, the gap between demand and available skilled labor keeps growing. So when your EV breaks, don't expect fast or cheap service, at least not yet. But EV problems don't stop at the shop, they start deep in the ground. Problem number 3, environmental concerns with battery mining. Electric vehicles are cleaner to drive, but their batteries come at an environmental cost. To make an electric car battery, you need minerals like lithium, cobalt, and nickel. These materials don't come easy. Most are mined in countries where environmental regulations are weak and labor conditions are questionable. For example, over 70% of the world's cobalt comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where reports of child labor and unsafe working conditions have raised serious concerns. Mining also takes a heavy toll on the land. It can destroy ecosystems, pollute water sources, and release harmful emissions. Producing one lithium-ion battery for an EV can use up to 500,000 gallons of water, especially in areas like Chile's Atacama Desert, one of the driest places on Earth. And while EVs produce zero tailpipe emissions, their overall carbon footprint depends on how the battery materials are sourced and how the electricity is generated. Recycling options for EV batteries are improving, but we're still far from a full-scale solution. Until then, the demand for new materials keeps growing, along with the environmental impact. So while EVs are part of a cleaner future, their production raises real questions we can't ignore. Problem number 2, software and connectivity glitches. Not every mechanic knows how to fix an EV, and that's a big problem. EVs rely heavily on software, and when it glitches, everything can go wrong. Electric vehicles are more like rolling computers than traditional cars. From climate control to charging, braking, and even steering, much of it is managed by code. And when that code fails, you might lose access to key features, experience charging issues, or even be unable to start the car. Owners have reported problems like frozen touchscreens, broken navigation systems, slow over-the-air updates, and sudden software crashes. Some vehicles have locked people out, lost driving modes, or shown incorrect battery levels, all due to glitches. These aren't just annoying, they can be serious. If your system crashes while driving or during charging, you could be stranded. And since fixes often require software patches, you may have to wait days or longer for an update from the manufacturer. Worse, many EVs need a strong internet connection for features to work properly. If you're in a low-signal area, some functions may not respond at all. You'd think the high-tech features would make EVs smarter, but they can also make them frustrating. Problem number 1. Resale value uncertainty. Electric cars lose value fast, sometimes faster than gas cars. While some EVs hold their value well, many do not. According to data from iSeeCars, several electric models depreciate by over 50% in just 5 years. That's higher than the average 38% depreciation for gas-powered vehicles in the same time frame. Why the drop? Technology changes quickly. A newer model with better range, faster charging, or updated software can make last year's EV look outdated. Fast. Buyers don't want old tech, especially if it's missing features or no longer gets updates. Battery health also plays a big role. If your EV's range has dropped from 300 miles to 220 miles, it's worth less, even if everything else works fine. And since used EV buyers worry about costly battery repairs, they're less likely to pay top dollar. Incentives matter too. If new EVs come with big tax credits or discounts, buyers won't spend much on a used one. That drives prices down even more. So if you're planning to sell your EV after a few years, don't expect it to hold its value like a reliable gas car. Now that you know the biggest problems with electric cars and what to watch out for. But there's one more thing that could change everything: the next generation of vehicles. In my next video, I'll show you 13 new 2025 cars that will blow your mind with what they offer. Click the video on screen now to see what the future really looks like.